Have fun.
It's gonna be a big one. What's that, your teleprompter?
Yeah. Okay, we're ready to roll here. I got the Green Ghose all set up to do the diesel purge. If you haven't seen any of my other videos on this subject, I believe that the diesel purge is the very best medicine that you can apply to an old diesel, particularly a diesel that's sat a long time or one that has not run a lot or not had a lot of freeway driving. We've had so many reports. They're like miracle cure reports on my old 240D, for instance. It wouldn't even go up the hill, and I did a diesel purge. Now it just roars up the hill. And we've received hundreds of these type of testimonials over the year. So before I take the old Green Ghose on a real road test here, I want to do a purge. And what I've got is I've got my special tank. This is the tank that I've designed, I make here in my shop. We call this the diesel emergency fuel tank and purge tank. You can use it either as an emergency fuel tank or as a purge tank. This tank comes with everything you need to hook it up to your engine, including the hoses, the clamps. We even have a little filter and some plugs to plug off the fuel line so you won't have excessive leaking. We have a vent here and a pin that will allow you to plug that when you're not using it. But anytime you're using the tank, you have to vent it. So you have to remove this Gulf tee. And that'll keep from, spilling fuel or smelling fumes in your trunk, because this is really something that you can put some diesel in and carry in the back of your diesel. And if any time you run out of fuel, you can hook this up and run for quite a while with the fuel that's in this tank here. Along with the tank, I've got a filter. We're going to be doing the purge and then replacing the filter afterwards, because a lot of times purging the fuel system will tend to plug up the filter. So let me show you now how I've hooked this tank up. And we've got 2 cans of diesel purge, because this one hasn't been purged in years. Remember that diesel purge is not something you put in the fuel tank. It's something that you run through the engine from a separate bottle or tank like you see here. So the setup is, you're basically taking the return line that goes back to the fuel tank from your engine and putting into this end where the small chamber is, and then the pickup is going right out of the tank here and going right into the small pre-filter here. So you're going to be circulating the diesel purge through the engine like this. Once again, you're not going to put it in the tank, or you must hook it up properly, or all of it will go back to the tank in just a couple of minutes. Now I have plugged off the line coming from the fuel tank. You have to be real careful when you do this. Make sure that you plug this hose off, or fuel will start siphoning out and running all over the ground while you're doing the purge. We include these little plugs in the kit so you can plug off this hose from the tank so it won't leak during the diesel purge process. So we're ready to go here. I'm going to pull the vent plug out. Once again, we have 2 cans of purge in here because we want to do a good solid purge. Now I'm going to start the engine up and take you through the process. While we got this purge going on, I have something else going on here in the background. Could it be that one of my Mercedes-Benzes caught on fire? No, just kidding. The owner of the property decided to do a burn here. Maybe I should go get the marshmallows and the wieners. Now that's one big fire. There's one thing I forgot to mention that you have to do after hooking up this purge tank, is you have to use a hand primer pump. And it's going to take quite a bit of pumping to refill the system. And this old pump is leaking like so many of them. By the way, if you want a pump on your old diesel that doesn't leak, be sure and check out the heavy-duty all-metal pumps that we carry on my website made by Monarch of Germany. So I'm going to keep pumping this until I get a little squeaking noise in the pump. I think I've got all the air out. It may start and die and then restart, but let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see how it sounds running on purge. When I start the engine, keep a close eye on this return chamber here. That's going to show you how dirty the fuel is coming back from the injectors in the injection pump. That'll give us a pretty good idea initially just how filthy it is inside this fuel system. you can see it start to darken up a little bit. I've actually done purges where this return fuel has been initially almost black. It's so filthy. But as we go along here in this purge, now this is going to take about 20 minutes, you're going to see this get a little bit more dirty and dirty as the entire fuel system continues to clean out the injection pump and the fuel injectors. Notice the difference in color now, including all the fuel in the tank started to darken up. Periodically during the purge, I'll just keep racing up the engine a little bit. Hey, look at that. There's no need for me to film this entire purge process. I'm going to shut the camera off, then I'm going to come back in about 10 minutes and let you hear how the engine sounds after having run on diesel purge for about 10 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes. Look at how filthy the fuel is now compared to when we started. That's an indication that the diesel purge is really doing its thing. Also, I want you to listen to the engine. Maybe you can notice how much smoother and how much quieter. It's not a big difference because this is a pretty good engine to begin with, but listen to the difference and the acceleration too. You know, I often wish I could just run my diesel on diesel purge all the time. We're going to talk a little bit more about diesel additives at the end of this video. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off. We'll complete the purge, and then I'm going to come back with some final comments. The purge is complete, and just take a look at the fuel in this capture tank. Can you believe it? Can you believe how dirty it is? I'm going to pour a little bit out in this cup, and if this doesn't make you a believer in the value of a diesel purge, I don't know what will. Take a look at that. That is literally black. Can you imagine how much gum and crud had collected inside the injection pump and inside the injectors after all those years of running? Now, I recommend for peak performance on these diesel engines that you do this every 6 months. You generally only need to use 1 can if you've done it recently. But this will improve fuel economy and reduce smoke. You can't believe how much smoke was coming out of the tailpipe before I did the purge, and now look. It's not that bad at all. It may still need some tweaking, but what a difference. Now I'm going to go ahead now and install the new filter. Now our filter kit, by the way, comes with new sealing ring and O-ring that you need for that main bowl. A lot of kits you purchase, you won't get those rings. They're not included with the filters, and that's something you definitely want to change. So I'll be replacing the filter next. And then I'm going to put additive in the tank. This is the Luber-Moly Super Diesel additive. I highly recommend you're running these old diesel engines with this new low sulfur fuel. You don't have a lot of lubrication in this new diesel fuel. So you need to be running the additive on a regular basis in your old Mercedes diesel, or you're going to prematurely wear out the injectors or possibly even the injection pump. This is really important. I know a lot of people don't do this. They think it adds money, but this also reduces engine smoke and can improve fuel economy. So if you're thinking about cost in the real world, doing a regular diesel purge every 6 months and adding a little bit of additive to the tank every time you fill up pays for itself over the long haul. If you're interested in doing your own diesel purge, I have everything available on my website which will help you do this yourself and save quite a bit of money. Of course, I have this purge and emergency fuel tank, but I also have a kit that comes complete with the tank, the filter, and even some diesel purge, all in one all-encompassing kit. Then I also have diesel purge that you can purchase and filters, and we also carry the super additive on my website. So I can help you do this. The kit comes with complete video step-by-step instructions that'll help you do this yourself. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you, you do this purge on a regular basis and you will indeed become a real believer. I have the new filter installed. I got everything buttoned back up and we're ready to take the Green Ghose on a test drive. This is the first time this car will have been out on the road in 8 years. A couple things I want to mention in closing. Number one, diesel purge is a very, very harsh and smelly chemical, okay? You need to always wear gloves. I recommend you wear the heavy-duty gloves like the green gloves that I carry on my website, and really clean things up when you're all done. Get things sealed up, seal up the cans. We provide a coupling on this purge tank which will allow you to connect the two hoses together when you're all finished, so you won't be dripping when you put this thing back in the shop. And then you can, of course, reattach the vent plug, the Golf tee, to keep fumes from escaping from your purge tank. The other thing is, I just wanted to show you this because you may wonder, well, Kent, why would you want to change the filter after you do the purge? You know, isn't it kind of going to clean everything out, including cleaning out the filter? Well, take a look at this. This is the old filter that I just removed. Watch what's in it, okay? Can you believe that? We got more real black junk here, and if I look down in the bottom, I'm even seeing some sediment. So you really need to plan ahead when you're doing this purge. One thing I would mention is before you even start, you should check your hand primer pump. If your hand primer pump is leaking very badly when you pump it, you better replace it, because sometimes it's hard to bleed the system and it's hard to complete the purge rapidly if you have a bad hand primer pump. So if you've got a leaking pump, don't put those Bosch pumps on there. They're not very efficient. Be sure and check out that all-metal heavy-duty Monarch hand primer pump that I get out of Germany, and I'm probably one of the only people that carry it. So that is the best pump you can buy in the world, okay? So we're ready to close this hood down and take this thing out on the road. Now, I'm not going to go for a long drive. I'm just going to go around what I call the patch here. And then I'm going to come back and kind of check things over. I want to check for any kind of fuel leaks. I want to double check everything in the engine compartment and a few other things. So I'll take this thing on a little short drive. Then I'm going to come back and report. And then we get ready for the long test drive. You'll get to ride along.